Hey class, hope everybody's doing well. This is my video talking about two highlights I had in my paper, in our week 2 paper, talking about justification and salvation. And two of the highlights, and really just a thing that honestly, just personally, I've been thinking about quite often is the responsibility that we have for our own salvation and the responsibility we have for our sanctification. And in my paper, I write about the responsibility of sanctification from the perspective of, as followers of Christ, we have received salvation, and we in turn then are called to share that with others. We're not called to hold the amazing, beautiful truth of salvation to ourselves, but rather we are called to, really go out and share this beautiful gift that God has given us, this gift of freedom from the penalty of sin, that we can experience a life that isn't bound by sin and its penalty, which is both physical and spiritual death, but rather we can live a life through God that is free from those things, that is a guarantee for us for eternity, and for the freedom and the consequences of sin. And not to say that sin isn't something that will happen. Sin will continue to happen, but through our salvation, God presents us free from the consequences. Not to say that there aren't worldly consequences that we may feel through sin, or even spiritual consequences that we may experience through sin, but really the focus of the salvation, and why it's so important for us as followers of Christ to share this truth with others is that we can then introduce people to a relationship with God that is freeing from the physical and spiritual death that we would experience if we didn't have salvation, if we didn't have a relationship with God. And the second highlight is similar, is the responsibility of salvation. In my paper, I wrote something along the lines of the responsibility that we have for salvation is very exterior. We're called to go and share that, but then rather the highlight that I want to talk about for sanctification is very personal to an individual. So sanctification is this idea that through God, through salvation, we are then called to be transformed. We are transformed by God, and God is continuing to transform us in our everyday lives. And this is really the thing that I've been focusing on personally, because throughout Bible college and learning all of these amazing facts, there should be a transformative aspect to the knowledge that we are gaining, and it's something that it's just I'm getting personal, is something that I'm missing. This idea of being transformed by the things that I'm learning through God, which then transforms the way that I live my life currently. And I think that to go as far as to say that I'm missing this would be kind of a stretch, but it's definitely something that I am really focusing on right now in this season of life, of really trying to lean into these really foundational concepts, these really transformative concepts, and actually let them transform my life. And I feel like this is the responsibility that all followers of Christ have when it comes to sanctification, is to own this idea of transformation, and to be continually transformed by God and His will for us. And I reference Romans 12:2, which is something, which is a verse that's just been on my mind, like I said, through the past couple of days, is not to conform to the patterns of this world, but rather to let God transform us, so that He can reveal the will that He has for our life, and that we can begin to work towards that will, and towards that transformative, or the transformative aspects that we are experiencing on an individual level from God. And I think that this is just so important, and it's something that honestly I think the Western Church in general is strayed away from, because we live in such a consumerist centered culture. Church has become something that we go to feel better, or to consume something, which to a point is correct, but I think we're missing the action step, and the action step is leaning into the transformative things that God is doing through us through sanctification for us to become holy and like Him and His likeness. And um, just writing about these two things was, again, one, very informative for myself personally, but then also just very just convicting. Again, attending Bible college and learning about all these amazing things, it's one, my responsibility to do something with that knowledge, to share that knowledge with others, but then two, to really let that knowledge affect me and transform me through God. And I think those things just stood out to me so vividly, because it is something I have been thinking about even prior to starting this class. It's just funny how God works, and the things that we're studying, and how yes, school is school, but also when you're in courses like this, it's just the way that God works is just so beautiful. So those are my two highlights. This paper was extremely fun to write, and just learning about just the different aspects of salvation and how they affect us on a deeply personal level is always just a good reminder, and something I enjoy doing. So yeah, those are my thoughts.